how much is this a French problem as opposed to a British problem?
Well, I think it is a British and a French problem, really, and that's why we have to work together to solve it. We know it's difficult for people in the southeast of England, of course, and there are criticism. Actually, you do have the same reciprocal criticism from French people in northern France who are wondering what's happening there and why they have all those migrants in Calais. And luckily, our authorities are working very well together. We had a positive declaration from the Prime Minister this morning, but our French Home Secretary was in London a few days ago to meet Theresa May. They speak almost every day on the phone about this problem, and the cooperation is very good. It's going to be even stepped up, and they have announced additional measures, which I think touch wood have started to show a little bit of effect those past 2 nights, where you had, of course, you will always have people trying to enter the tunnel, but you have noticed that since we have sent this additional reinforcement of 120 riot police, which is on top of the 400 that were there. So we luckily possibly have the situation more under control. And I think we're going to, the British side also has announced measures. We're going to build this new fence also around the Channel terminal. And it's only part of the solution. This is a short-term security solution, but it's something positive.
This isn't a new problem though, but it has got a lot worse. Have we, both French and British, just acted too slowly?
Well, it is, and it's not only our 2 countries really, it's the whole of Europe that is facing this huge emergency migrant crisis. Just to give you a figure, since the beginning of the year, it's more than 200,000 illegal migrants who have entered the Schengen area. Well, you have a few thousands of them who are in Calais, and what has happened is that many have settled in, a few member states. For the past year, we had 60,000 new asylum claims in France, 30,000 in the UK. Some countries like Germany have many more. And so we have to cope with a situation that is originally due to the fact that some countries of origins are destabilized politically, economically. That's why we have to act in the short term with security measures, but also in the medium term we need, for example, and that's what has been decided by our Home Secretaries, increased work, joint work on repatriation, for example. We are thinking of, we will work with other member states, the EU Commission, with Niger to set up a center there to prevent migration and for repatriation, because we know that most of the migrants who eventually go through Libya and then Europe, they first have gone through Niger in West Africa. And of course, there will also be no solution without long-term stabilization of those countries of origins, and that's another file where France and the UK, with others, are supporting efforts. For example, on Libya, it's obviously very important to the crisis, and there is some agreement in the being, political agreement in Libya, and hopefully in the medium term it will also improve the situation.
Do you think that has been a problem, the fact that it is not just a British, not just a French, it's a Europe and further wide problem, when actually Europe isn't coming together to act as one to actually combat the issue?
Well, you could look at it on the more positive side, saying that it's the beginning of something at the European level. We in France have been supporting this EU-wide resettlement scheme, and we've said we would accept part of it. The idea is that it would not be only, as it is now, a few member states like our ones and others who bear the brunt of the asylum claims, but trying to spread it a little bit more through the EU. It's only one part of the solution, but it's clear that we have to work at an EU level. Eventually, those people, they arrive at the Schengen border through Italy, through Greece. There is work to reinforce the external border of the Schengen area, of course, and certainly there should not be a blame game between one country and the other, and we are not going to solve the crisis by pushing back the migrants between our countries. We need to solve it as the European Union.
You've touched on some of the short-term solutions as you see it. What exactly are you, the French, doing?
So as soon as we've had this the news that the situation was deteriorating, actually, as I said this week, the French Home Secretary was here, and he decided on very short-term measures to send very quickly 120 additional riot police to Calais. Just there are already 400 riot police. It's police who is dedicated to defending the Channel Tunnel, and it's a four-fold increase compared to 3 years ago. So it's a lot of additional resources. Actually, the French state is spending dozens of millions on coping with the migrants who are in Calais, because we can also not let them live in too horrendous situation, and so we have provided a daycare center, for example, for them. And there are a lot of stuff that can be done, but I think the additional fencing also that the British authorities have spoken about will help. What happened, maybe you remember that a few months ago, actually, most of the problem were around the port of Calais. And since then, those fences have been installed. Theresa May spoke of this secured zone that has been opened for lorries, and it's become much more difficult to enter the port, and that's why people have gone to the Channel Tunnel. And when we will have built the fence that is being built right now, of course it cannot be done in a day, it's going to solve part of the issue, but not the whole problem of migrants coming to Calais. Of course, you need to act on the short-term level, but also on the longer term.
What is the longer-term solution?
Well, the longer-term solution, first of all, we need, of course, the most long-term solution is to help stabilize those countries, and all those countries where the migrants come from, the country that they cross, of course, on the other side of the Mediterranean. As said, on Libya, hopefully the political situation and we might get a bit better with an agreement, and so that might solve part of the thing. There will also be, at the end of the year, an important conference in Valletta in Malta, between the EU and Africa, especially on this migration issue. So we need to discuss the EU and Africa, how we can solve the problem and help developing Africa, of course. And also in the more medium-term solution, let's say, our two Home Secretaries have decided that they would step up, and it's very important, the fight against the networks of smugglers. Already we stepped up this fight. We've had 17 rings dismantled since the beginning of the year in France, but we can do possibly even more in sharing intelligence between the UK and French forces, because, well, those people are exploiting and bringing the migrant, for example, to Calais. And that's something we can do, and we will try. France and Britain will work even better in repatriating some of those migrants.
And in your opinion, what would you say you think the British government need to do in order to solve the migrant crisis?
Well, I think our officials are talking on a daily basis on what we can do, and we need to work together. And frankly, I think the speeches of the British authorities are very valuable. What we hear on cooperation is exactly the same on the French side. And so, for example, when Britain is helping build this fence around the Channel terminal, it is something that is indeed very useful. When we've decided that we are going to work more on repatriation, we are going to work more on fighting the smugglers. We have this plan in Niger to set up a center there with other member states. It's all very positive things that the UK government is doing with France, and that's really the way to do.
Obviously, like you said, nothing is instantaneous, but what kind of timescale do you think we are looking at to get this situation under control?
I think here again you have different things. You have the short-term thing where we want to improve the security, and it's being done around the Channel Tunnel, because we want to avoid having days after days, as we had at the beginning of the week, people getting injured, or sometimes sadly people that will die. But I think we have to understand that here we have very desperate people who have nothing to lose, and if they are really ready to risk their life and jump on an electric train, and there is only that much you can do. So you can't stop the flow completely, and you have to try and improve the situation where those migrants come.
Thank you very much.